Today, I was asked to do a comparison for soy, paraffin, vegetable, palm oil waxes. And I want you to know, I did zero research, and this is based purely on my practice, what I've been doing. So no going and researching. So what's coming out right now to you is purely what I have been doing in the past. And this is how I think. But before we do this, I have to bring up something to your attention, which is context. Context is super important. For example, let's say you and I are running, and I run under a 4-minute mile. You run 4.01 minute mile. I am the best. You are not so great. That's not entirely true, because in context, 99.99% of the people are not going to catch up to us. Let's hold that thought, because I want you also to have context that majority of the things that we do in life is not really good for us. Such as, the minute you burn a candle, no matter what candle it is, no matter what you burn, there's a carcinogenic component to it. Barbecue is carcinogenic. A lot of things, even gas stove is a carcinogenic. So the fireplace that you do is carcinogenic. At home, really bad carcinogenic, by the way. Table that conversation. Context is super important. Why do I bring this context? Because the decisions that I make are not purely on one little thing. It's not like, oh my God, I got to go with the runner who did under 4.0, not the runner. They're both just as good, people. Here's why. For example, let's start with palm oil. Where do you think palm oil comes from? From the palm trees. Palm oil is from palm trees. Do you know what has to happen in Brazil and Argentina? They have to clear out, they clear land to use to get the palm oil so that you can have a candle. Whoever's using palm oil, all I say is shame. Why? You're going to destroy the forestry. You know they're not going to be replanting. You're destroying all the animal lives. In addition to that, you're creating massive soil erosion, not to mention all the ecological things or atmospherical things. So palm oil by the trees. So what about vegetable oil and soybean oil? Where do they come from? People, you have to grow this stuff. It is cultural. It's cultured. It means it's grown on farms. We, in this country, or on the planet, have farmland. Either we're going to create new farmland, or we're going to use the farmland that we have. The farmland that we have, my feeling is, it should go for food consumption. Why? Because if you do have vegetable oil or soybean, which comes from the soybean oil, soy wax, you have to do pesticide on it. Unless you're eating organic, which this doesn't apply to, you have to do pesticide. Why is that bad? Because when it rains, that pesticide is going into our fisheries, and guess who is eating that fish? We are, and we're contaminated by that pesticide. Not to mention, we are exhausting the topsoil that we have. Now, when the topsoil gets exhausted, you have to put fertilizer in on top of it. More exhaustion, more tilling, more soil erosion control that measures more soil erosion control, because soil erosion control measures do not apply to farmers. You've seen farmers, all the dust goes everywhere. When you do construction, you have to have soil erosion control. You have to have mounds and control and hay on top of it. Farmers don't need to have that. They're protected from that. So therefore, not only are you doing pesticides into the fisheries, not only are you exhausting the topsoil, not only you're, in addition to that, your topsoil is disappearing. Which means that now, the next season when you're going to do food for that same farm for food, you have less topsoil. So therefore, let's talk about paraffin. Where does paraffin come from? Petroleum. Petroleum, by the way, it's not a replenishable item. It's going to disappear pretty soon. It doesn't come, it's gone. Eventually it's going to be gone. But actually, the wax comes from petroleum production. Petroleum production, by the way, this paraffin wax is a byproduct of that. We're not exhausting anything. The most important subject here, people say, oh, when you use paraffin, you have some toxins that come out. Those toxins, by the way, relative to your normal environment is near zero. It's almost negligible. What do I mean by that? Your life, by the way, the phone that you speak on, the ear pods that you put in your ears have more microwave, more damage to you than that candle that you're going to light once in a blue moon compared to the all-day microwaves that you're putting in your ear. You put hairspray on it, you got chemicals on it. You eat processed food, all the fibers taken away from it, terrible for you. All the sugars, alcohol that you drink, everything else that you do does not compare to the minuscule, the 0.01 second that the second run. For example, Michael Phelps and Ryan Lochte. Ryan lost by 0.03 seconds, like microsecond. It was a fingernail long, but he's still number 2. It's negligible. Most of us light a candle once in a blue moon, once a day, and most of us have pretty well ventilated homes. And if you ask, another very important question, point. If you ask any perfumer who knows what they are talking about, a chemical perfumer, a perfumer who understands essential oils, synthetic oils, understands paraffin, they will tell you the best performing wax is paraffin wax. And they will tell you, not the stuff that you read on the marketing, from the marketing people who have the soy advantage for you because they want to push soy wax for you, because they put a lot of marketing dollars behind it. But if you really ask a professional, they all will tell you paraffin has negligible compared to the soy, but relative to the damage that you do, paraffin does no damage compared to the damage that you're causing our environment. So my point is this: at the end of the day, it is a choices that you have to make. I have made my choice. I am very comfortable with my choice. I made my choices based on this information, that we as humans live in homes that are pretty well ventilated. We as humans, I'm not saying just because you have the radioactive in your ear, or you drink your alcohol, or you smoke, or you don't eat healthy, or you eat your sugars, or all the things, you shouldn't add to it. I get that, but I believe that for the sake of our overall world health, it is better to use paraffin for its consumption, where it comes from, exhausting the planet, keeping the planet safe, keeping you safe, performing better delivery of the fragrance. In its totality, paraffin, at the end of the day, is a better performer for all of us, on all fronts, people, on all fronts. If anybody tells you any differently, please take the time to fact check me. And if I'm wrong, I am happy to change my entire outlook. This is what I know. This is how I behave. This is my background, and this is the reasons I do what I do, and this is my vocalization and transparency to you. Not a marketing gimmick where somebody says soy is best, therefore it's got to be soy. No. Vegetable oil exhausts our planet. Palm oil exhausts our planet. Paraffin performs better, is better, doesn't produce anything, doesn't come from anything other than byproduct. And whatever you're going to say that there is some form of carcinogenic in it, they all are carcinogenic. And if paraffin has a little higher notes of it, it is nearly negligible. Period. Love you guys.